Welcome to Valley Newsline for the week of March the 11th, 2007. Hello, I'm your host, Ron Whitlock. Healthcare starts with someone who treats you or your family, either at home, in a family setting, or at a hospital if you require hospitalization. That someone is a primary care nurse working under the directions of a doctor. The nurse is with you 24/7. The doctor comes by once in a while to make sure you're doing okay and to perhaps change your regimen. However, the lack of nurses here in the Rio Grande Valley in South Texas is causing all kinds of problems because, and as you will have noted, if you read the Harlingen Morning Star, the Valley Morning Star, you can see, based on those coverage of those stories, it's harder and harder to get through an ER, to get admitted to an emergency room in the Rio Grande Valley in South Texas. And there are occasions when the hospitals are on what's called diversion. That means if you want to check into that hospital cannot take you because they do not have beds. They do not have beds because they do not have the nurses necessary to admit you to that hospital. Here to talk about that problem, Bill Burns, the CEO and president of the Harlingen Medical Center here in Harlingen. Bill, welcome to the program. In the second segment of my program, stay tuned because all 28 Valley irrigation districts are anxiously watching now the State House and Senate because bills in the House and Senate involving municipal takeovers and how municipalities and cities can take over irrigation districts and water districts here in the Rio Grande Valley can happen. On that segment, we will have Chairman of the Hidalgo County Water Control and Improvement District Number 3, Othel E. Brand Jr., McAllen Mayor Richard Cortez responding to Brand's comments made before the McAllen Rotary Club and Commissioner of McAllen, John Ingram. In our third segment, 270 Valley residents who need a kidney transplant from either a family member, a friend, or otherwise, or from a donor program, now can have it done here in the Rio Grande Valley because the Valley's first kidney transplant facility, the South Texas Transplant Center and McAllen Medical Center, has opened Thursday here in the Rio Grande Valley. And that makes a wonderful piece of good news for South Texans who no longer will have to go now San Antonio, Galveston, Houston to get a kidney transplant done here, Bill. Now, Bill, in watching and reading the paper, that's harder and harder to get in ERs, harder for people to check into hospitals, for God's sake, here in the Rio Grande Valley. What's going on? What is diversion? How would you explain that to the audience, and why do we have a nursing shortage, for God's sake?
Well, diversion, Ron, is an action taken by a facility that cannot render the care that's required by a patient that may be coming into the emergency room, either for lack of beds or technology and or staffing in order to take and provide safe patient care. So the hospital will go on diversion, sending it to the next facility. And we've suffered through that in the last 6 to 8 weeks very heavily. Most hospitals at one time or another were on diversion. Everybody was on diversion at the same time. So it did create a problem.
So many viewers watching this program, they may end up getting sick, call an ambulance, comes to pick them up. They're taking them to their favorite hospital where they've delivered all their children, always gone for their operations, and that hospital may say, "We're closed today, we're on diversion, can't take you because we don't have a nursing staff adequate to give the care that we're supposed to provide."
That is increasingly a part of the problem, is the lack of staff, qualified staff. Nurses are a premium. I was talking with one of my peers in another hospital, and he was telling me that he was 40 RNs below what he needed to staff all of his beds. Therefore, he had to go on diversion for patients because he could not staff it appropriately to take care of those patients.
What's the impact on this audience when their hospital's on diversion?
Well, they're going to go somewhere else.
Period.
It may not be the one next door. It may be in the next community, or it may be 2 communities away.
Or they may have to go to San Antonio, Houston, Austin, Dallas, like in the old days.
It may very well end up being that's the case. The impact in the Valley is that, yes, we need more nurses. And part of the problem there is the output of the institutions and graduating nurses. And part of that comes back to the clinical setting of training nurses. As far as the classroom sessions, most of the universities here can take care of that. But the clinical setting is a problem. One of the issues there that you and I have talked about on several occasions with my peers in meetings is that it requires a master's level nurse to do clinical settings. There are fewer and fewer master's level prepared nurses because there's no incentive to go for a master's prepared. But there are a lot of baccalaureate nurses, and baccalaureate nurses could in fact be part of the clinical setting or the clinical environment of training.
14,000 Texans last year applied for nursing school and were turned down because there were not slots because of this backlog of not having the capable and competent and certifiable, because of what the Texas Board of Nursing Examiners and the Texas Commission of Higher Education have determined to be the requirements for these people to train upcoming new nurses.
Well, I was at a meeting, this was two years ago, I believe it was, where one of the legislators said that for every seat in a nursing program, freshman level, in all the universities in Texas, there were 5 qualified candidates, not only educationally qualified, but financially. They had the finances to go to school as well. And only 1 of the 5 got in. And it's, you know, it's that kind of numbers that we're running up on consistently. But the old American way is, let's throw more money at it. Money is not the issue. It is training.
Texas Governor Rick Perry and State Senator Eddie Lucio both have told us on camera that they're aware of the problem.
All of this state has a major nurse shortage. One of the big problems is in that our nursing schools do not have the faculty of professional nurses.
We have a tremendous nursing shortage in our state. I think if we can address that issue in particular to increase the ratio, the student-teacher ratio, right now it's kind of low.
Now, both Governor Perry and Senator Lucio are aware of the problem. They're aware that the backlog is within the educational system, and the problem lies within the Texas Board of Nursing Examiners and the Texas Commission of Higher Education. So you think with their support and their awareness, something could be done.
And I think, you know, that they are supporting us to try to get something done. But there's some limitations relative to the training requirements that have been established for nursing programs nationally and within the state.
So what can the viewers of this program do to try and help solve this problem?
Express their concern to their elected officials.
It'd worry me to be in an ambulance and want to go to my hospital
and not be able to
and
go
I
there.
Can't go to my hospital
Sure.
because the hospital's on diversion because the hospital doesn't have enough nurses.
I think the tension in the Valley Morning Star in the last couple of weeks is a good step. It's bringing the awareness out to the people who are affected, the patients.
All 28 Valley irrigation and water districts are anxiously watching the state capitol, where bills in the State House and the State Senate both are working their way through, which deal with municipal or city takeovers of water districts. At the center of the controversy and both bills is the Hidalgo County Water Control and Improvement District Number 3, chaired by Othel E. Brand Jr., and also on his board, 2 former mayors, Leo Montalvo and his father, Othel E. Brand Sr. Now, Othel E. Brand Jr. appeared before the McAllen Rotary Club and made some comments regarding this. Here now are his remarks made before the McAllen Rotary Club, followed by responses by McAllen Mayor Richard Cortez and McAllen City Councilman John Ingram.
Although we have it around and have access to it all the time, we don't consider the fact that water is becoming a major factor in the way that we handle our infrastructure. And you see fights all the time in the courts over who has access to water and things like that. Now, obviously, with that in mind, and because we know this club likes controversy, we ask Othel Brand Jr. to come and talk to us about the Water District Number 3. With that, we appreciate it. Thank you, Oe.
Well, if y'all are interested in controversy, just let me start off that we are not. But if y'all want to look at it that way, we're going to give you the information and let you make a decision. I am chairman of Water District Number 3 for about the last 8 months. This is my 3rd year on the board. We have 5 members that sit on the board. All the members on our board are all citizens of McAllen. When I came on the board, it was the city of McAllen that asked me to run because they were having problems with the district. Bill Moschel was asked to run because the city was having problems with the district. Mayor Leo Montalvo was asked to run because we were having problems with the district. So you have three out of 5 on that board were asked to run by the city and told they would and were elected. And I've got to tell you a funny story. When Jim Darling, shortly after Liam Montalvo, who's the last one that came on our board, he came to our meeting, our open meeting, so I can say this because it is open, it's freedom of information here. He said, you know, I don't know what it is about every time we try to get somebody on this board, you guys must be a communist nation because they always flip on us. And you know, we got a chuckle out of it, and it was a friendly exchange. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think once you get on the board and you see what this district has done and where this district is, the district they've done a great job. I can't take any credit for it, but my predecessors did a great job. Now, I will tell you, Mayor Montalvo told me this the other day. He says, you know, your dad and I disagree on a lot of things, but this one we agree on. And for when you have two men who have served in the mayorship of our city for almost a third of the life of our city, telling the city, our city, those two mayors, they say our city doesn't need to be running this water district. If we felt like it better served the users in our district, I don't think there's a member on our board that wouldn't be in favor of it. Since we've got on the board, they've asked us to, you know, we want to take you over. We feel like it's our destiny. And I told the mayor, I said, well, Mayor, but what's your reason? Give me a reason. I mean, I know since I've gotten on the board, since Leo Montalvo's been on the board, Bill Michelle's on the board, we're all citizens of McAllen. Believe me, we're going to look after McAllen. What issues do you still have? And the only thing we get out of them is it's our destiny. Bicentennial, we have about half of the right-of-way they need to go from where it ends right now in Atlanta to get to Trenton. The value is about, I want to say somewhere between $5 and $6.5 million. I will tell you that when I got on the board, I found it interesting that they went through all the public hearings with y'all and got all beat up, in my humble opinion. And during all this process, until I got on the board, had never had one formal discussion or exchange with our district over the right-of-way. Personally, I won't speak for the board. Personally, my observation is that they had, in their plans of destiny, they figured they'd just take over the district and that wouldn't be an issue. When you can't find a good reason or explanation why something needs to change, then there's an agenda you don't know about. There's an agenda you don't know about. I can tell you that the committee members we spoke to in Austin after it was over, they just called it a grab bag. That's all they called it. It's a grab bag.
Mayor Cortez Othelbrand Jr., the chairman of the board of the Hidalgo County Water Control and Improvement District Number 3, has characterized the city's Keno Flores sponsored bill as a grab bag to get a hold of that district's assets. In response to his assertions?
We believe that after a period of time, because Water District Number 3's service area is primarily urban now. It really is within the city of McAllen, where more than 90% of their annual revenues come from the city of McAllen. That in essence what has happened is that Water District Number 3 simply is a pumping district where it pumps water from the river to the city of McAllen and as many as 5 to 7 other farmers within the district. We feel that is a duplication of efforts because the city of McAllen in essence does not need to have a duplicate, redundant political subdivision to simply go to the river, open a valve, let the pumps pump water to our reservoir. When our reservoir is full, we shut the valve down because we have water. We feel that we can eliminate unnecessary expenses of operating the water district because substantially the water comes to us. Now, yes, the water district has maintained assets over a period of time, but think about who were the contributors to those assets. Why is it wrong for those assets to revert back to the citizens of McAllen who substantially have been paying for those assets? The other thing that we're trying to protect is the taxpayers of McAllen, as well as the ratepayers of McAllen. And the way that we do that is every time we have a roadway or a utility line that we have to run within District Number 3, we have to go ask permission, pay for right-of-ways, and etc. Well, at one time it was important to do that because they needed that distribution system to transfer raw water, irrigation water to farmers. Well, they no longer need those systems because the city is substantially urbanized inside. So for us to be paying the water district additional money for right-of-way of easements within the city of McAllen is adding cost to our roads, it's adding cost to our utility lines, and there's no need to do that. So we feel that doing this is in the best interest of McAllen, and it has absolutely zero effect for those 5 to 7 farmers. We would have the same duties and responsibilities to provide raw water to those farmers as anybody else would. So it doesn't affect any of the farmers, and it sure helps McAllen. We would rather be masters of our own destiny. We'd rather take control of the water district. We're the ones that's using it. We're the ones that have to provide that water to our citizens. So why should we have a duplication of those services somewhere else and add an additional cost to do that when we can do it more efficiently?
Chairman Brand Jr. says that the opposition to this takeover by the city of McAllen includes 94 of the 110 customers that the irrigation district has. Only 4, based on his poll, and he told the Rotarians about, favor the city of McAllen taking over this water district. City of Hidalgo, he says, is opposed to the takeover because 900 acres of the water district are in the municipality. What do you tell those in opposition to encourage them to become proponents of this takeover as opposed to being in opposition?
I think that whoever is not siding with the city of McAllen either is misinformed and doesn't have the correct facts. At the end of the day, one thing for sure is going to happen. There will be no more irrigators in District Number 3. The land is going to be urbanized, okay? So when that happens, then what happens to the water district? What better way than to secure their future right to that water than to have an agreement that memorializes that agreement between the water district and the city as to what's going to happen when. If Mayor Montalvo, Mayor Brandt, and the board of directors of the water district number 3 have an agreement that they would like for us to consider, put it in writing, send it to us, and I can tell you that we would look at it critically, we would look at it and dissect it and give them a response.
Commissioner John Ingram, City of McAllen, what's your response to what you just heard O.E. Brand Jr., Otho Brand Jr., tell the Rotarians here in your city?
The city has taken this action because they believe it's in the best interest of everyone here in McAllen to run the district, to run it. We think we can run the water district better than it's being run now. We feel that we can take care of the interest of the farmers adequately as well as the district does, and also take care of the interests of the city of McAllen. There's many homes that do have irrigation. You can water your yard through the water district. There were concerns voiced that could end, and as far as I understand, that's not the case. We'll continue to run the district just like it's being run now. We just think the city believes it can run it more efficiently.
270 Valley residents who need a kidney transplant from either a family member, family friend, or from a donor program such as the Texas Donor Program now can go to the Rio Grande Valley's first ever kidney transplant facility. The South Texas Transplant Center at McAllen Medical Center opened Thursday of this last week, and Valley Newsline was there. We interviewed both the medical director and the founder and main surgeon for that center. Here now those interviews. Dr. McLean, this is your brainchild to open this facility. How did it all come about?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for meeting with us today. This was my dream about 5 years ago. I've always had a love of transplant back to my general surgery training years in San Antonio. And when I came down and set up private practice down here in the Valley, was exposed to the tremendous need for transplant down here in the Valley with the incredible numbers of diabetic patients and dialysis patients that we see and have down here.
Biggest percentage of diabetics nationwide here in South Texas?
It's as high a percentage as anywhere, I think, and the fastest growing population of end-stage renal disease patients, dialysis patients. It very quickly became my dream to try and start a transplant center down here, and thankfully with UHS's help, I was able to go back to San Antonio and do a transplant fellowship, and have been back here for 2 or 3 years now, and again with UHS we've been able to put all the missing pieces in place to actually open the transplant center, and I'm very excited. We've got patients coming in now, and I think we're really going to make a big difference down here in the Valley.
Up to this point, someone in South Texas, out of the 370 that reside in South Texas that wanted such a transplant of a kidney of themselves or a member of their family, they had to go out of town in order to get this. Now you have patients, Valley patients, getting treatment and on waiting lists in Houston, Galveston, San Antonio, and elsewhere who want to move down and come into your facility and have it right here at home. Isn't that great?
Yes, sir. In fact, that's the 370 people from the Valley that are already on wait lists elsewhere. What that doesn't even account for is all the patients down here who are on dialysis and great potential candidates for transplant that don't have the means to make it up to San Antonio several times a year or to Houston several times a year, and or to take family members up there with them for all the workups and then the actual transplant itself and all the follow-up care. And I think not only are all of those people that are already on the wait list going to have a tremendous benefit by us being here, but I think there's people that are great potential transplant recipients that wouldn't even be able to do it if we weren't here. So I think that's going to be a big thing.
Now at your ribbon cutting and open house to the community, you explained to all intending that this is an option. Transplantation of a kidney is an option to dialysis. Would you explain that to the audience? Well,
you can't live without kidneys, basically. And when patients become end-stage renal disease, that means their kidneys don't work anymore. They have kind of 3 options. They can either have hemodialysis or peritoneal dialysis, but they have to have some sort of, both of those act as functioning kidneys temporarily. Hemodialysis is 3 or 4 hours a day, 3 days a week, no vacation, no breaks, 3 days a week. They're locked up on a machine. Peritoneal dialysis is where they exchange 3 or 4 liters of fluid in their abdomen at least twice a day, every day. Again, no vacation, no breaks, and you can imagine what several gallons of fluid are to manage on a daily basis. The only other option is transplantation. This allows, I can't tell you how many times I've done transplants up in San Antonio and had patients with tears in their eyes tell me, "Thank you for giving me my life back." It really, and not only does it give them a functional life back, but it also extends their life. Their longevity on dialysis is only about half of what it is if they actually receive a kidney transplant.
Kidney transplantation, like Dr. McLean mentioned, is the best form of treatment where possible for end-stage kidney disease, and anyone who's on dialysis or has advanced kidney failure should be evaluated for the possibility of a kidney transplantation. And in the various types of kidney transplantations that we can perform, live donor kidney transplantation by far has the best results.
If you have a Medicaid, Medicare patient who needs a kidney transplant, tell us how those 2 entities in particular respond when you have someone like that who wants to go through your procedure.
We have excellent programs. Medicare and Medicaid cover kidney transplantation programs, and anyone who has Medicare is eligible to come in to our center and be worked over like anybody else.
Till next time, adios.